Minecraft is infamous for running terribly, so I fixed it with 10 mods, from boring to absolutely game-breaking. As everyone who's used Redstone knows, it can be quite laggy, so that's where this mod, Alternate Current, comes in. As you can see, my in-game ping from switching from Surreal to Creative was about a full second there, which is crazy. But when I activate the mod, it is only 277 milliseconds as indicated in the number in the bottom right. So this mod's actually a pretty big improvement, but let's move on. Now Minecraft doesn't take a lot of RAM, but it can take about 2 gigabytes it seems while I'm generating chunks. So here we are with Ferret Core, and as you can see, it's not actually using that much less RAM, but the main thing is, as you can see with this side-by-side, is loading worlds and how laggy it gets. Also the time it takes to load. Next mod is called Entity View Distance, and essentially, you know how when you have a bunch of boats, even when you fly away from them, it's still really laggy. This lets you change how far away entities are rendered. So for example, if I set it to 40 blocks, once I'm more than 40 blocks away, they just disappear and my FPS is all good, which is super duper helpful. But let's move on to our next mod. The next one we have is called Entity Culling, and this is one that essentially helps with how Minecraft processes entities to make them be less laggy. As you can see, instead of getting like 18 FPS, now we're getting around 40, which is a pretty big improvement over nothing, which is, as you saw with the Entity View Distance, both of these paired together could actually make entities a lot less laggy in your world. The next one we have is called Bad Optimizations, and now Minecraft's known for not being very well optimized, and this helps with some of it. For example, these are like light levels in caves, and it causes some lag, but if I use bad optimizations, especially in caves, it doesn't cause quite as much lag. Now it's called bad optimizations because it's a bunch of random little things instead of the big things that mods like Sodium focus on, which is what makes this mod special. This is our first general optimizations mod called Lithium, which focuses on improving game mechanics without changing the actual game. As you can see, we're getting around 130 to 140 FPS while generating chunks, and if I stand still. So next up we have a mod called Immediately Fast. Now Immediately Fast is a mod that aims to speed up the rendering of Minecraft, such as the rendering of entities, block entities, particles, text rendering, etc, etc. And yeah, essentially it's just supposed to render stuff better and faster, so let's see how this goes. So as you can see, I'm getting about like 115 to 120 FPS just flying around normally. Yeah, now let's see how it looks. Whoa! Alright, so here we are loading into a world. This is in theory rendering without the mod. That is taking a little bit of a while to get going, but other than that, it's not actually too slow. And now let's try it with the mod. Alright, so here we are with the mod, and already this seems to be going a lot faster, especially just that loading terrain bit, and those chunks are loading in a heck of a lot faster. Also, it looks like in the top left, the FPS seems to be higher than it was without the mod. Let's test out some of the other claims it made, like the speeding up of rendering of entities and block entities. Alright, so I have a big cube of chests, and I'm getting like 20 FPS max, and this is here without the mod. Now, this mod isn't specifically designed, but I'm seeing to get like 1 or 2 more FPS. Not really that big of a difference, probably just a rounding error. So yeah, this one probably isn't doing that much. Enhanced block entities is a lot better, but that mod isn't being updated. Alright, so now we're on level 3, and these are mods that are pretty insane. So first up, we obviously have Sodium. Now this one is a very impressive mod, which makes Minecraft run a impressively large amount better than normal Minecraft does. And yeah, as you can see, I'm getting about 100 something FPS without Sodium. I'm getting almost 200 with Sodium. It's dipping down a little bit, but yeah, the way this mod works is actually pretty insane. I just hit 360 FPS, 700 FPS, which is absolutely crazy. But now let's move on to a mod that's technically a different mod, but you know, not really. It is Sodium Extra. Now, Sodium Extra is essentially just Sodium, but it has some extra features. So the first one is sometimes particles like redstone here can be pretty laggy, so if I just use Sodium Extra, as you can see, I can toggle particles, animations, and a bunch of details. I'm kind of curious to see what details does, but as you can see, I can also like toggle a bunch of render stuff like fogs, light updates, item frames, armor stands, paintings, details, particles. So if I just turn off particles, if you're having a lot of lag, because of one of these things. Credit to Cam and a team for showing me how to make these particles. You can see that like the particles just go away, which is super helpful, especially if you have a lower end computer, because I know that my computer is pretty high end. I don't really struggle with particles, but I know that low end machines really do struggle with particle lag. And as I said, I was curious to see what the detail thing did. So what happens if I just like turn off the sky? Like, does it? Oh, it just goes gray. That's kind of anticlimactic, but also that's kind of like, you know, what I was expecting to happen. So let's move on to our next and final mod, which is actually pretty controversial, so I really debated putting it on this list. And our final mod is called Voxy. Now, Voxy is a pretty normal mod. As you can see, our FPS is just a little bit higher than in normal Minecraft, especially when I stop looking at newly generated chunks. But the main purpose of this mod is it is a LOD mod. This is kind of similar to the mod Distant Horizons. I assume you all have heard of that. And it is essentially the same principle, just different execution. And the way this mod operates, I really do prefer this mod's way of executing it. Bad at English. Anyway, so as you can see, it renders LODs, which are essentially fake chunks that are not technically rendered by Minecraft, but are still displayed on your screen, which makes you be able to have insanely far render distances, such as how I'm about to show it off. So let's just go this way for a little bit. As you can see, I'm probably going to go about 5,000 blocks out. Wow, this actually looks really smooth in time-lapse. And now that I'm about 5,000 blocks out, you can see that I can still see world spawn. Oh, wait, I don't have a zoom mod. Hold tight. Okay, so zoom mod acquired. As you can see, I can see all of spawn in literally full detail, which is absolutely incredible. And you may be wondering, why on earth is this controversial? This mod is crazy good. Distant Horizons can't scale to see stuff in full quality when you zoom in on it. So you're probably thinking, this mod's pretty great, why on earth would this be controversial? Well, there's a couple main reasons. Number one, it has very limited version compatibility. This means that the developer only really gives updates, which are like every other day or every day, and he only updates the latest version of the mod, which is kind of annoying, but I kind of see your point of not wanting to do back-end compatibility for literally every single Minecraft version, as that would take a lot of time and effort. Secondly, this mod does not support shaders, but the developer Cortex has said that it is up to the shader developers to do that, so as you can see with Complementary Reimagine, it just doesn't work. So yes, this mod does have some downsides, and if you're using server-side, it doesn't have a server-side counterpart, so it is probably worse than Distant Horizons if you're server-side, but it does let you do a lot of stuff, and from my testing, it is fairly better performance-wise than Distant Horizons, enough where I actually prefer it. Also, it lets you zoom in, so for example, oh, that was 1-2 inning zeros. I can zoom in on any point on the map that is like 10,000 blocks away and is being rendered in full detail, which is absolutely mind-blowing, and that's something that Distant Horizons simply cannot do, which is a big reason that I find it better than Distant Horizons. But that's all I have for you guys. See you in the next one. Alright, that's all I have for you guys today in this video. If you enjoyed, please join my Discord. We're almost at 100 members, and if you enjoy my content, consider joining my channel or going to my Patreon, because those both really help me out. You can get a bunch of my cool builds, redstone, and light magnetics, also my survival world there. But yeah, that's it. Bye.